Z United. This is Anand here, and we are joined by Ankit. Hello, Ankit. Thank you
Thanks
for
for having me,
joining.
guys.
How are
Thank
you
you.
doing, Ankit? How are you doing?
Doing good, brother. How about you?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good. Wonderful that we're meeting from a long time. So thank you for
Yeah, yeah.
joining. Thank you for joining. And so this is our first podcast, and this channel is all about discussion on Manchester United and everything you find about United, the latest updates on United, latest transfer news, match dealings, match
Reactions. Yeah.
reactions. This is just one-stop shop. For all your United news and daily podcast. In this channel, we'll also be discussing all the major news and updates that is happening all over the football world. So, we'll be taking a look at all the latest news, and we'll be discussing a lot about, the latest transfer activities and the ongoing issues that is basically happening in Manchester United, and what the board must do, what the board and the whole team must do as a whole to kind of rectify this issue and to actually bring back glory days at Old Trafford. So I'm pretty excited about this discussion, Ankit. How are you doing? Are you also pretty up for it?
Yeah. Actually, we were planning this to do for quite a long time. Yeah. So just because the transfer deadline was completed yesterday, I think we should have the discussion today.
Yes, Ankit. Yes, thank you very much. I'm also pretty excited about this. And yes, we've been planning this for a very long time, but I'm glad that this is finally happening.
Okay. So as we were discussing offline yesterday, that there is a lot of negativity around the club right now, and we want to make this channel a fan-based channel. Okay, just not for India, just but for all around the globe. Okay, so there is quite a negativity around the club right now, and we want to spread positivity. We want to have a guest on the show, discuss the issues, discuss football-related updates, and we want to have a healthy and positive conversation over here. Okay, so this is all about the channel that we want to build for now and for the future as well.
Yes, absolutely, Ankit. That is what our main objective is. And so once again, I would like to thank all the viewers for connecting and viewing our channel. So let's start with the discussion, Ankit. You had mentioned that there is a lot of negativity going around the football club as of now. As we speak right now, Manchester United lost our last game against Tottenham Hotspurs, and the game was a pretty big drubbing of 6 goals to 1. And apart from that, our transfer dealings have also been haywire. There is a lot of negativity going around the media. What do you make of this? What do you make of the last few weeks at Manchester United? What do you think is going on right now?
So to just answer your question in one sentence, the structure of the club is shambolic. Okay, we do not have a clear structure at United, right from the owners to the board to the negotiators, and partly to the managers and players as well. Okay, if you see other big clubs like Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, Real Madrid, they have a director of football. Okay, Manchester United doesn't have a director of football, and they haven't had since Fergie left, or maybe even when Fergie was there was no director of football. But just because it was Sir Alex Ferguson, he used to get the transfer dealings done. He used to get the players a bit, and then they used to perform. But now we do not have any clear structure within the club to run this club and get them where they were. Okay, so I think it is all down to the board, to the owners, to Ed Woodward, to the Glazer family, to Matt Judge, who is the negotiator, to everyone who is involved in the transfer dealings. I think it is pathetic and shambolic, and that is the reason we are seeing these results on the pitch itself. Okay, we talk about the game that we played on Sunday, and we lost very badly. 6-1 at home to Spurs at Old Trafford. The last time we were defeated 6-1 was against Man City, and Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge. I think we lost it. We lost the league on goal difference. The next season, what Sir Alex does is sign Robin van Persie, and we win the league. What as of now, this club doesn't have any ambitions. Okay, this club doesn't have any ambitions to go forward, to be a big club that they were used to. Leeds, Everton, Wolves, Man City, Chelsea, even Arsenal and Spurs have shown more ambition in the transfer window than us. Okay, so this is all down to the owners, to Ed Woodward for not backing up the manager. We have already sacked three managers after Sir Alex Ferguson, and none of them has succeeded. We can say partly that Moyes and maybe LVG were not the ideal replacements, but when you see what the board has done over the past few years, I think it is very diabolical. Okay.
No, correct.
Just
Yes.
reacting to the game. Yeah, just reacting to the game. I think getting beaten 6-1 to Spurs at home, I think it is not not a very good sign in the for the near future. Okay. I
Mhm.
think the blame has to be on partly on manager as well as the players. So just reacting to that Sunday's game, I think that performance it comes down to the manager as well as the players. Harry Maguire, we signed him last year for 80 million pounds. I think this is the biggest money heist that Leicester could have could have got in
Mm.
such in this year. 80 million, I think, is just an expensive version of Phil Jones, nothing else. Okay,
Mhm.
and that his performance, I think, is partly down to all the negative stuff that is happening around him during the summer break, as well as he has played quite a lot of matches. We can see if you see he has played the most number of matches for a United player in the last season. I think that has affected his physical structure as well as the mental structure due to the things that is happening around him in a negative way. So I
Mhm.
think that comes down to the manager how he manages his players. Yeah, I think that area. I think, but no doubt that the silly mistakes that he has done in that game, I think no one can vouch for him.
Mhm.
No one can say okay this was one of because we have seen these mistakes repeated and repeated again. We say Lindelof is shit, but I think Harry Maguire is on the same level. He's not better than Victor Lindelof or maybe Bailly or Smalling. All
Mhm.
all of our three centre backs that we have at the club are not at any level. Not at any level. We cannot win
Mhm.
the league or challenge for the title with this centre backs. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say that.
Okay. And speaking of Harry Maguire, as you mentioned that he played a lot, the maximum number of matches last season. Now we can actually make a case with Harry Maguire saying that he was purchased for 80 million pounds, which is quite a lot of money for a defender. And being English, I think he's the most expensive English defender to be signed.
Correct.
80 million, correct, for a defender from Leicester City last season. And as far as the price tag is concerned, and as we see that Manchester United had 13 clean sheets last season, which is basically the third most clean sheets in the division. And Harry Maguire played in each and every one of them. So I think we can make a case with that, saying that yes, Harry Maguire was purchased for 80 million, but then he played 60 matches, and he had about 13 clean sheets. We ended up finishing third, of course. And but then what do you think, like, was this whatever happened in the break between the two seasons, his off-field incidents in Greece and everything, do you think that has messed up his mind? Because he was actually performing not that poor. People were actually slating Lindelof come the end of last season, but right now it's all Maguire. And then we saw that how poor his performance was against Tottenham Hotspurs. So do you think that the off-field negativity combined with all the transfer activities and the negatives going on, was that the issue, due to his downfall?
Yes, yes. I think this is a part of what he is going through right now, because obviously the things that go off field certainly impacts a player. Yeah, I think yeah, yes. This is one of the factors that maybe his mind is twisted and is not performing to the same level that he was performing last season. Though the last season, I think he didn't perform excellent. Well, he was pretty decent, but I think the United defense looked quite calmed and relaxed and stable with him as a centre back pairing with Lindelof. But the thing is, when you have played so much duration, so much matches, and with the controversy that currently is going around him, I think now it's time he should have given a break. And being the captain of the club, I think there is an additional responsibility. And just for the record, don't think he is the captain of Manchester United. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
he deserves to be the captain or he's a captain material, because I've seen many games right from where he started as a captain. I don't think he has any leadership. Because if you see Van Dijk at Liverpool, whenever they give the ball away or whenever there is a mistake, he's in the ears. Okay, he always says, okay, go here, go there. He is like a commanding figure out there. But when you speak about Harry Maguire, I don't think he's a good captain material. And just referring to a question, I think it has affected him. It has affected him, and that is the reason I think when we were going all out for Sancho, I think a centre back was very much needed. Because if you see the last game against Sevilla, where we nearly considered two stupid goals,
Very soft
two
goals,
crosses.
correct.
Yeah, stupid goals. These are like basic school level defending, pub level defending, where you just have to clear the ball. Even if you see the first goal against Spurs, Harry Maguire is pushing his own man.
Mm.
What do you expect else, man?
That
So
was
I
an
think,
absolute joke, correct.
yeah, correct. That is what I'm referring to. So I think he needs a break. We needed a centre back who can just come and slot in when our other centre backs are not performing well, which they are not clearly for the past season. I think Victor Lindelof gave 3 goals against Harry Maguire gave 2 goals against Spurs. So I think we needed a change in that department, but unfortunately, as a club that doesn't have any ambition, we haven't signed a centre back. I think the money that we saved on Sancho had to go on a centre back.
Absolutely,
I think that
absolutely,
Diet
Ankit.
Upamecano was available for 50 million. We would have okay, the Sancho deal is off. We just can get a centre back, and I think that would have massively improved our squad as a whole. Yeah.
Absolutely, Ankit. Absolutely. Some well points put. And, speaking of transfers, I would like to, share some few information with the viewers. Basically the transfer window commenced yesterday, which is 5th of October, 2020, at 11 p.m. BST time. And, we have total 5 arrivals and 7 departures. So the arrivals of the transfers are basically, we have Donny van de Beek from Ajax, Ahmad Traore from Atlanta, Alex Telles from Porto, Facundo Pellistri from Peñarol, which is an Uruguayan team, and Edinson Cavani, the major signing from PSG. He has also been given the number 7 shirt. And as far as yes, Edinson Cavani has actually been given yes, number 7 shirt.
Oh my God, are you joking, man?
Correct. And yes, and one more thing that I would like to mention the viewers are that Hamad Traore from Atlanta and Facundo Pellistri will be joining us on January. Their signing has been officially done on deadline day, but they'll be joining the squad on January due to some final documentation and paperwork to be done. Okay, so these were the 5 arrivals, and the departures are going to be Chris Smalling. He has gone to AS Roma on a full permanent transfer. Cameron Borthwick Jackson has gone to Oldham Athletic on a free transfer. Alexis Sanchez has gone to Inter Milan again on a free transfer. So we are off. Manchester United are actually off. Offloaded his wage bills. The next is Tahith Chong has gone to Werder Bremen on loan, full-time loan. Joel Pereira, the goalkeeper, has gone to Huddersfield on full-time loan. Andreas Pereira has gone to Lazio on loan, and Diogo Dalot to AC Milan on loan. So you've got 5 arrivals and 7 departures. Ankit, what do you think about our transfer window this season?
We haven't had 7 departures, to be very honest. These are all loan deals, and next year all these players will be back at United, and we will still not able to sell them. If you see, no other club has actually bidded for Phil Jones, Marcus Rojo, yeah, Pereira, Dalot, any of the dead wood that we have as of now in the squad. No other Premier League or even a small club from any other part of the world hasn't even bidded or approached United to have that player. No other club has even bidded for Phil Jones or a Marcus Rojo or a Diogo Dalot or a Pereira. These are all loan deals. These players will be back at United next year, and we will have the same problem again. The reason is, as I said earlier, we do not have a proper structure at the club. We do not have a director of football. Okay, and that is the reason we have huge wages that we offer to the players, and that is the reason we cannot offload them. Yeah. So this I think there are no 7 departures. It is just 1, and that is Sanchez and Smalling. There are 2. Sorry, Sanchez and Smalling.
Correct.
Yeah, and the rest are like a loan or a free transfer, and the players which were not part of the first team or were not as important to us as the rest of the players are. So I think
Mhm.
we have absolutely done a garbage job in this transfer window. This was the
Absolutely.
time to optimize the position that we finished last season, the third position that we finished. This is the right time. We have would have backed the manager. We could have done at least 3 to 4 proper signings before the transfer deadline, and I think we would have at least won a couple of games.
Mhm.
Yeah, the game against Crystal Palace or even at Spurs, I think we would have won that game. But just because the board is so inept and is so pathetic that we cannot get the deals over the line, and the squad will struggle now. I think there is a big task for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to get good results of this squad, because I think it is literally the same squad that we had last year. Just a couple of signings. I think Van de Beek or Cavani might fit in when other players are injured or suspended, or now we have COVID as well. So I think that is a couple of good signings, but I think not the window that I expected. Nowhere near it, and nowhere good enough, to be very honest.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Because there was so much of negativity going, around the media regarding our transfers, and it was pretty shambolic. We could have either wrapped up Sancho's deal by paying him the money, the 108 million pounds, which was the asking price of Dortmund, and if we didn't have the funds for that, we could have at least said no, we are sorry, and we could have actually looked elsewhere. And we had at least a month's time to go through other options and even approach them, buy them. It doesn't matter if you were spending about 10 to 15 million more. We understand that sometimes the club, the opposing club also looks at it and says that, okay, Manchester United is asking, but I'm sure we could have looked elsewhere and rather not or not made a big mess or a meal of what has currently happened. So newspapers were still reporting literally 2 hours prior to deadline day that we were still in for Sancho, which was a pretty messed up deal. And apart from that, even Edinson Cavani, has come from PSG, and the talk just started literally a day before deadline day. So again, now people are deeming this to be as a panic buy. He's 33 years old. He's on a free transfer, and and even we couldn't even get Sergio Reguilon, which is pretty understandable. As Real Madrid wanted, to be just loaning him out, and I think we did a good job saying that we're not going to loan the players, so that's okay. So I'm actually pretty happy with Alex Telles and Donny van de Beek, of course, which was a fantastic signing again. But then again, as you mentioned with the departures, we have 4 loan deals. 4 people out of the 7 departures are on loan. 2 free transfers, and only Chris Smalling, which was sold to AS Roma. So I think this has been a pretty negative window. If you look at the complete perspective as to how the dealings, has taken place. But one more thing, Ankit, is the squad that we have right now, the first 11 that we put against Tottenham Hotspurs. You know, if you look at the front three last season had scored a combined 60 goals. So we have enough firepower up top. And, when we came to the pinnacle end of the season, last season, after the break, when Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial, Mason Greenwood, of course, when they were all completely on fire. And then when we were linked to Jadon Sancho, people were saying that, we don't need Jadon Sancho as per se right now. At that point in time, and the only reason is because they were saying that, now, even if you bring in Jadon Sancho, that would hamper the development of Mason Greenwood. And, so, and again, as we say that if we actually stopped, if we could not pay the asking price of Jadon Sancho and said that, what, we are sorry, let's look at the next transfer window, since we understand that there was a pandemic. So, it's difficult to gather the money also. So what do you think? What do you think about that? Even though, we have enough firepower up top over there, and we fielded the pretty same squad that was so much on fire, against Tottenham as well. Would you think, and with the addition of new signings, do you think that, we'll just be improving from now onwards after the international break?
So just to answer your first question regarding Jadon Sancho, people saying that it would have hampered Greenwood's growth are absolute shit. First of all, Greenwood is a number 9. He is not a right winger. Okay, if you see him play, he always cuts in and hits a shot because he loves to shoot, and his finishing power is sublime. Okay, so if you see at the club, we do not have a proper right winger, and we haven't had proper right winger since I think Ronaldo left. Yeah, Ronaldo left quite. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
We do not have a proper right winger once Ronaldo left, and we haven't replaced him. So signing Jadon Sancho was the hot property right now. I think it was United's priority signing, and they haven't done it. Okay, and wouldn't have hampered Greenwood in any sort, because if you see, we will nearly play 60 to 70 games, yeah, in the season. Considering if you go into the later stages of cup competitions and Champions League, so rotation of the squad is important. And as we saw last season, that whenever a first team plays considerable number of games on a frequent basis, 2 to 3 games, 2 games in a week, I think the fatigue starts to kick in, and we do not see the same level of performance. Last season, I think Bruno played the most number of matches in terms of the midfield, and I think he was looking very naked at the end of the season, and the whole team was very looking very naked, the first 11. So I think signing Jadon Sancho would have given us more firepower in the attacking department, because you could have swapped Martial and Greenwood. You would have given Rashford a break because he was playing with an injury last season. Okay, so you do not have to risk players because you already have an additional firepower available on your bench or in your starting 11. Okay, so that was the first point that people need to get cleared about. Yes, regarding now the new signings, I think it doesn't improve Manchester United.
Okay, not much hope over there then.
Yeah, I don't think Cavani or Van de Beek improves us to challenge for a title. Because if we see last season, we finished third. So the next ambition or goal is to challenge City or Liverpool for the title. Yeah, maybe not directly, but cut out the point difference. I think we had 30 points last season, more than 30 points. And this season, at least making it in single digit, or at least challenging and playing good football, I think that was a bare minimum necessity. And I don't think we can achieve it. I want to be wrong. I want to be proven wrong, but I don't see it happening. Absolutely. Because Cavani is injury prone. It's like a Zlatan signing. If he comes in, he'll perform good, and maybe 1 or 2 years is gone. We have to sign again a replacement. And if he gets injured, it's a high risk, high reward type of signing, which I'm not getting into. But I like Cavani. I used to like Cavani. I think if he plays well, I think we have another dimension as a number 9. Yeah. Which Martial might not offer us because he's not good at heading the ball, at maybe holding of the ball. He has improved considerably in this last season, but we want that natural type of number 9 that we haven't had. So I think Cavani improves us a bit, Van de Beek improves us a bit, but I don't see us going anywhere near. I think Liverpool had a massive link up against Aston Villa. I think that will not happen again. I think they will be raging and going for all of it for the title now. Man City looks okay. I think they will still get top 2, top 3 or 4. I think that is not good for them, but I think that is okay. You see other teams like Everton, like Wolves, as I said earlier, Leicester. I think they are looking very, very much strong.
Pretty sharp as well.
Yeah, very sharp. Yeah. So that is the reason. So now, if you see our upcoming pictures as well, I think it is a make or break timeline for Solskjaer, 100%. Because last year, I think he lost to Burnley and he was going to get the sack. He was going to get the sack, and then we signed Bruno, and it was the bounce we got, the buzz we got top 3. The similar type of signings we needed in the summer to get us going, but we haven't had it. We have signed 2 players on the deadline, 4 players on the deadline day, when we had 2.5 months of transfer window, the most extended transfer window for a long time. Yeah, so I think it looks very, very much
pretty bleak as of now.
On the darker side, yeah.
Absolutely, Ankit. Some well points put. And so overall, thank you so much, Ankit. I think this was a pretty good discussion. Thank you viewers also for watching. We've had We of course discussed about the latest match, against Tottenham, which was not a pretty good performance, but hopefully with the new signings and hopefully with more game time, the players look sharper, and hopefully after this international break, our results certainly improve. And in our next video, of course, we'll be covering about the future, as to what the future holds for Manchester United. We are facing some pretty tough fixtures. Our next 7 to 10 games are very, very crucial. We are getting some pretty crucial Champions League matches. Our EFL quarterfinal is also there, and we are also having pretty tough games in the Premier League, which we'll be discussing about. So more of the insights to come on our next channel. But as of now, we'll be logging off. And Ankit, would you like to say anything for signing off?
Yeah, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel, because I think we want that motivation to get this channel and make it moving ahead. So please like, share, and subscribe, please.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you so much for watching, guys. So we'll be logging off, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.